Casper Dennis for Submission Radio, standing here with Raquel Pennington, who takes on Elizabeth Phillips this Saturday at UFC 202. Now, Raquel, the story leading up to a lot of your fights have been obviously your nerves. How are the nerves treating you this time around, and have you been dealing with them?
I've definitely been super calm this time around. I've taken a lot of time to work on things mentally because I feel like throughout my career, that's kind of where I've been beat. It hasn't been any of these girls completely beating me. I've lost to decision fights, but it's definitely been mentally for me. So for this fight, I did a lot more mental preparation, kind of focused on that. And now it's been an interesting week because I'm definitely a lot more calm than I've ever been.
There was a lot of hype behind you after your win over Betch Correia. A lot of people talking about how you should be directly sort of inserted into the title picture. You took a holiday after that. You took a little bit of time off. I'm wondering if that sort of helped your mental preparation to sort of decompress as well.
You know, I think it's important. Fighting can be tough, especially mentally, physically, and emotionally. I think it's important to take that time and enjoy life outside of the octagon. So I definitely do that. I try to fight about 2 to 3 times a year, just so that way I have the opportunity. I'm big on being able to travel or spend a lot of quality time with family. And yeah, I think that's one thing that really helped me.
Obviously, you're fighting Elizabeth at this card. You've had some big wins in the past, though. Obviously, you beat Betch. You had another win over Andrade. You had a close fight with Holm. What did you think when the UFC gave you this opponent? Because a lot of people felt like you needed a bigger name in the division after the run that you've had.
I have to admit, for a second, I got a little frustrated just because I felt like it was kind of a step backwards. But at the same time, you know, every girl brings a different challenge to the table, so there's no reason to take away from her.
What does that do for you in terms of motivation? Do you feel like you're more motivated, like when you first Holm, who was coming to the UFC with a lot of hype behind her? Do you feel like those fights get you more motivated, or are you still sort of, I guess, motivated as much as you can be for Elizabeth Phillips?
You know, I mean, those fights got me a little bit more motivated. I struggled with motivation at this time, but then that's when I took a step back and I realized I don't need to take away from any opponent. So I kind of just took it for what it's worth and realized I'm out here just enjoying what I do, you know, and I have another opportunity to stay active and to be out and showcase my skills.
You had a super close fight with Holm. Obviously, she just lost. A couple of losses back-to-back for her as well. What did you think of her last performance?
You asked me, I thought it was boring. I think that she's kind of been showcased with the fact of like where she really stands. She came into the UFC with a lot of hype, and I think now she's being exposed.
Yeah. A lot of people wondering what's next for Raquel after this fight. We wanted to look ahead because you're focused right now on your next challenger. But if you do win, would you be looking to get a rematch with Holly, considering she's a big name in the division? The first fight went so close.
You know, I mean, she's a huge name and everything, but at the same time, I'm trying to really climb the ladder. There's a lot of other girls that are within the top 10, and I want the opportunity to move up. So, I mean, whether it's a rematch against her, whether it's a rematch against Kat, or it's somebody new like Misha, Juliana, Sarah McMahon, whoever it may be, like, I want that opportunity.
You've been doing something else that's different leading up into this fight. I believe you may have started it before the Betch fight. You've been writing a journal. Tell us about that. What was the sort of reasoning behind that?
You know, I mean, journaling is actually kind of a powerful thing. I don't think a lot of people realize it. I didn't realize it. I could sit there and you have a million thoughts in your head, and then when you go through and you write them down, and you can go back the next day or the day after that and read it, and you're like, I was really thinking some of that. So it's just kind of been those moments. I mean, when you have negative thoughts or when you have positive thoughts, just kind of jot them down, get them out. But it's like, instead of going and talking to somebody every time and just kind of spitting out those thoughts, like, you can write it down. There's been different things to where I turn it into a positive thing. Sometimes I'll just journal about my day. Other times I'll just take something that's completely positive and I'll write it 100 times. And I'll take something else that's completely positive and write it 100 times. Because, I mean, when you drill something in your head like that, it's probably one of the most powerful things you could do.
How long have you been doing this journaling so far?
I used to journal a lot when I was growing up, and then I quit for a while. But I started to do it probably a little bit before my last fight, just because I felt like it was something that was definitely a part of me, and I kind of needed to get back to it. So I just took the time out, I got a journal, and just started writing my thoughts down, and I think mentally that really helped me.
The division right now is in an interesting position. A new champion, everybody's arguing who should be next. Ronda's always waiting in the dark. We don't know when she's coming back. From your perspective, who do you think should have the next title shot against Amanda Nunes?
You know, I mean, there's so much talent in this division. I can't sit here and just pinpoint out one person. If you're going to ask me, I'm going to say me. You know, obviously we're here to climb the ladder and do everything, but I mean, I think it really comes down to politics. When it comes to the next title shot, when it comes to so much turnover into the women's bantamweight. So I think, honestly, the next person that's probably going to go for it is going to be Juliana Pena.
How do you overcome those politics? Because you've got a nice streak going, and obviously you want to continue that streak, a win over Elizabeth Phillips. Whereabouts does that put you, and sort of how do you break through those politics to get your title shot?
You know, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm just out here doing what I love. It's not about the fame and glory. It's not about the money, anything like that. So I kind of just put it off to the side. I feel like the man above has a plan for me, and when my opportunity comes, like, I'll take it.
So there won't be any water bottle throwing fights at the next press conference, I can tell. Amanda Nunes, new champion. People aren't sure if she's a long-term champion. Your thoughts on that? Will she be holding the title for a long period of time, or do you think Pena beats her and then possibly someone beats Pena and this is a belt that gets passed around for a while, possibly until you get into the mix and get the title?
I think that there's a ton of talent in this division, and I think that anything can happen any given day. I think Amanda's pretty dangerous in the first round, but if anybody gets past her from that first round, then it's anybody's day.
Do you think Ronda Rousey, if she decides to come back, deserves to get the immediate title shot, or do you think she should have at least one fight before she gets that title shot?
I don't think that she should have the immediate rematch. I think that there's so many people working their butt off, and you know, I mean, you take a loss, you held the title for so long, but I think you, just like anybody else, needs to have that opportunity to climb your way back up.
Would you be aiming potentially to fight her if you get a couple of good wins back to back? Would she be someone that you aim to fight? You obviously had a close fight with Holm. She beat Ronda Rousey. The case is there to possibly fight her. Would you be looking down that avenue?
I definitely want to fight anybody. So, I mean, Ronda, Misha, all of them, they're all in there.
Great. Well, best of luck on this fight. Before we let you go, we have to get a cheeky prediction from you. Give us how you see this thing going. We know you've been journaling a lot of thoughts going through your head. How do you see yourself winning at UFC 202? I
definitely see only 10 minutes in this fight. I'm prepared for way more. But, you know, I'm not a fan of the judges. We all know how that works for me. So I'm giving myself the most 10 minutes. And there's been times that I sit there and I visualize the fight and I just see myself outbeating her in whatever case it may be. A lot of it's been my hands, but some of it's actually been showcasing my ground game. So we shall see. Tune in.